What is going on, guys? It is Wrestlelamia here, back with some more news. Now, last week's Smackdown saw WWE official Adam Pearce pull a fast one on Roman Reigns, putting Kevin Owens in his place for Reigns' Universal Championship defense. How will the Tribal Chief react, and what other surprises are in store for this latest episode of the Blue Brand? Well, join us now as we analyze this week's episode of Smackdown, as well as the wildest wrestling news stories and rumors you need to know, including WWE wrestlers react to Larry King's passing, bad news for both AEW and WWE, Ryback in AEW, and much more. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos, and follow us on Facebook for exclusive lists. As always, we won't recap the show, but just look at the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. As always, we start off with the good as number 1, Roman Reigns sells the stunner beautifully. The Roman Reigns vs Kevin Owens brawl represented everything good about the current feud between the two of the WWE's best brawlers, even though this has gotta end at the Royal Rumble. But one of the best parts of the show was when Roman sold KO's stunner not once but twice, making their table spot nothing short of sensational. Even the most monstrous of heels have to sell at times, and Reigns' selling the stunner was a good way to create the potential that KO might just walk out of the last man standing match with the title. Also in other news, pigs fly. Number 2, Sami Zayn continues to entertain. Smackdown provided some laughs with the Blue Brand's resident pain-in-the-ass Sami Zayn protesting his treatment in the WWE by handcuffing himself to the ring. Wrestling heels come in all forms, ranging from monster heels to annoying chicken shit pests like Sami Zayn, and Zayn has never been better than he is right now. He's the type of wrestler who doesn't need a championship to get over, as his gimmick is all about wanting to see him get beaten up. While Zayn's act needs to temper so as not to create go-away heat, the WWE and Zayn seem to have found the right balance. Number 3, Reginald, a shining surprise. While the WWE deserves major criticisms for its booking of Sasha Banks in the SmackDown Women's Championship, Carmella Somalia Reginald continues to impress in and out of the ring, and the WWE needs to get him into the Cruiserweight division sooner rather than later. Then again, knowing how the WWE books its cruiserweights, it might be better for Reginald to be a sidekick on the main roster than just another face in the Phantom Zone known as 205 Live. Number 4, Apollo Crews vs Big E has serious promise. Apollo Crews vs Big E is one of SmackDown's sleeper situations, and not in the way fans traditionally think of with the WWE, a program that has them nodding off. Crews vs Big E has been excellent so far, and if Crews joins Roman Reigns' faction as rumoured, it should only elevate the talented performer further. While it may seem unlikely that Crews will defeat Big E for the IC Championship, fans should remember that Big E may face off against Roman Reigns at WrestleMania for the Universal Championship. If so, a title loss wouldn't hurt his push. Even if Apollo Crews doesn't win, he's been given some much needed time and looked good even when he's lost to Big E. Number 5, Cesaro's push continues. Is Cesaro getting a sustained push? It certainly looks that way, as he defeated Daniel Bryan and earned a spot this week into the Royal Rumble by defeating Dolph Ziggler. And we won't point out the obvious about Cesaro's talent and ability to work the upper card and perhaps even the main event. At this point, we're just enjoying Cesaro's much deserved push and hoping he doesn't get the creative rug pulled from underneath him. Number 6, The Boss battles both men and women. Although the WWE doesn't seem to be headed towards intergender wrestling, Sasha Banks is one of the first wrestlers the promotion should consider if it decides to go that route. The Boss's battle against Reginald shows she can get an excellent match out of men or women, and credit also goes to Reginald for some excellent work in the ring. If the WWE could only start booking her against better opponents, fans might think the Women's Revolution is more than a marketing gimmick. In the meantime, there's no denying Banks' in-ring chemistry with men and women. But that was the good. What about the bad? As number 1, Royal Rumble rules confusion. Just when the WWE seemed to clarify who gets to declare themselves for the Royal Rumble and who has to earn a spot, they go and have Cesaro challenge Dolph Ziggler for a spot in this year's Rumble. Now, in case you missed it or are still trying to figure out what exactly happened, Cesaro called out anyone who had already declared themselves for the Rumble, leading to Dolph Ziggler accepting the Swiss Superman's challenge. Cesaro defeated Ziggler, earning a spot in the Rumble, as confirmed by WWE's Twitter account. Did the WWE authority figure Adam Pearce or his assistant Sonya Deville authorize this? So how exactly did Cesaro book himself into the match? Number 2, a predictable finish. While it was good to see Roman Reigns get some revenge on Adam Pearce, the main event match between Paul Heyman and Adam Pearce was predictable for anyone who has watched the WWE product for more than 6 months. You've likely heard the rumors that Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman are heavily involved in booking Reigns' storylines, and if so, we can only hope it's Vince McMahon who is coming up with predictable moments like this, and not Reigns and or Heyman. Kinda gutted that we didn't get to see Heyman wrestle. But you know his wrestling, it's all flips and no substance. Number 3, a meaningless title match. Last night's WWE Women's Tag Team Championship defense by Charlotte Flair and Asuka and the Riot Squad probably surprised fans who haven't seen the titles on Smackdown in quite some time. While the match itself was entertaining, the only point it served was to create tension between Billie Kay and the Riot Squad. As we've noted, the women's tag titles are a complete afterthought, especially with Flair and Asuka as champions. The best thing that could have happened last night would have been for the Riot Squad to win the belts and have them start defending them on a regular basis. Now, there was nothing ugly about last night's show, as WWE still puts on an entertaining show and always seems to outshine Raw in every aspect. Still, this week's SmackDown wasn't as good as last week's, but what do you guys think of the show? Let us know in the comments down below. Now, let's move on to the news. Our first story looks at Ryback headed to AEW. Could AEW have another former WWE superstar joining its ranks? Well, Ryback recently revealed that he believes he's able to wrestle again starting this summer, although Ryback may be working the fans and he's actually able to return sooner. During an episode of Ryback TV, the big guy all but confirmed where he's going, saying, "I am coming back and I'm going to the competition and we're going to kick their asses in the ratings." What on earth would AEW benefit from having Ryback in the promotion though? They've already got muscle in the promotion, Brian Cage. So what will Ryback add? Do you think it'd be a good fit? Let us know in the comments down below. Next up, Vladimir Kozlov's amazing transformation. Speaking of phenomenal physical transformations, former WWE superstar Vladimir Kozlov looks like one of the characters from the Grand Theft Auto series. In fact, we can just picture that image in the loading screens. The WWE superstar is promoting his line of vodka called, appropriately enough, Moscow Mauler. Congratulations to the former tag team champion on his latest success. Next up, more names added to the Rumble. The men and women's Royal Rumble is shaping up as the WWE has added more names to the event. During last night's SmackDown, fans learned that the following superstars have been added: Ruby Riott, Liv Morgan and Tamina Snuka in the women's match, Shinsuke Nakamura, Dolph Ziggler, Big E and Sami Zayn in the men's match. As noted above, Cesaro somehow earned a spot in the match and WWE.com has confirmed it. Next up, USA Forcing NXT Off Wednesdays. Looks like the WWE's position as one of the USA Network's top programming options could be ending soon. NBC recently announced it's scrapping its NB Sports Network, with key elements of NBCSN's programming moving to USA Network, and in some cases Peacock for 2022 and beyond. As noted by several news sites including Ringside News and Wrestling News, it's believed that NASCAR and NHL events will air on USA. This could be problematic for NXT since it will not be able to air in its regular time at 8 PM since the NHL games air on Wednesday nights. You may recall rumors that the USA Network asked the WWE to consider moving NXT off Wednesdays due to it typically getting clobbered by AEW Dynamite's ratings. Does this mean bad news for WWE and AEW? The potential for more sports programming on the USA Network should concern AEW and WWE. Wednesday nights, as the NHL has been airing on Wednesdays, which means sports competition for Dynamite even if NXT isn't on. Dynamite may be getting a bump from fans who don't watch NXT, but hockey on the USA Network, which is broadcast in more homes than the NBC Sports Network, could lead to AEW losing some of its audience. The big question is how the USA Network's acquisition of NASCAR and the NHL will affect not only its overall ratings, but its business relationship with the WWE. The reason the USA Network throws so much money at the WWE to air Raw is that the USA Network's weekly ratings have been weak. If NASCAR and the NHL bumps up the ratings, USA executives may not see the worth in writing a large check, especially if the show's ratings continue to decline. Does that mean the WWE will leave the USA Network? Well, not necessarily, but it may not be getting big money deals anymore. And finally, WWE wrestlers mourn the loss of Larry King. And last but not least, sad news to report as famed TV interviewer Larry King has passed away at the age of 87, reportedly after being hospitalized with COVID-19. King had many wrestlers on his show during his illustrious career and was fascinated by wrestling and its performers. During an interview with Sports Illustrated, King remarked, "They are incredible athletes, their fan following is amazing, but their results are never in the paper. To me, if someone is interesting, then I'm curious, and wrestlers and wrestling are interesting. The WWE announced WWE is saddened to learn that Larry King passed away at the age of 87. WWE extends its condolences to King's family and friends. Tweets from Kayla Braxton, The Iron Sheik, and James Ellsworth were just some of the tributes that were made on Twitter. Our condolences go out to the King family and friends. But there you have it, guys, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly from this week's Smackdown, as well as the wildest wrestling news stories. Be sure to leave your comments down below, subscribe if you haven't already, follow us on Instagram and Facebook for exclusive lists, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.